I'm your host, Joshua Adera.
And I'm your co-host, Umar Khan. Today we have Jeremy Becker.
Yeah, here we come.
Some kind of
Here we come. Here we come. Here we come.
He's a born entrepreneur. He started as early as 6 years old. That's when he just started to learn how to code and design. Over the past decades, he has dozens of clients marketing their digital products. He's worked with both startup companies and Fortune 500 companies, industries ranging from natural gas to entertainment. He's currently the CEO and co-founder of MedConnect, which is based out in Vancouver, British Columbia. They envision a world where every person has access to timely, effective, high-quality Medicare. Really cool, dude. In addition to Medicare, Jeremy is also the CEO of Becker, a consulting company that he helps with marketing ideas to these companies. Aside from business, he often has opportunities to speak at organizations, events, and schools, usually about entrepreneurship. Also, he's involved in product development and finding his passions. Jeremy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super stoked.
Bro, we want to start from, I may add, he's 21 years old, so
tell us, what made you start coding?
Yeah, 6 years old.
At 6 years old, that's wild.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't actually know the answer to that, truthfully. I mean, it was one of those things, when I was really young, like 3, 4, my dad was kind of into development a little bit, not to the same level I am right now, but he always enjoyed playing around with those sort of things. And like when I was a little kid, I was always like to watch him. Like middle of the night, I should be sleeping, but I'd be sitting on his lap, just like watching him do his thing. I don't know, something about that just really intrigued me, and I got really interested in like building websites and just like really simple HTML, CSS. I had a landscaping company at that point. Not quite then, but like that kind of led into it. It's like, I need a website. Let's throw something together. And that converted into like a site for whatever I wanted. And then it just, over the years, like, well, how do you do this? Well, let's try and figure it out. Like everything's online. You can just, how do you make a form work somehow? You just kind of like Google those things, and then one thing leads to another.
Nice.
Wow.
You started at the age of 6.
6.
Yeah.
That's insane,
Nice.
man.
And your dad was teaching you, or?
No, I got intrigued by him doing it. My sister knew a little bit as well, and I was always competitive. Like, well, I have to know what you know. And then, yeah, I just kind of like let myself into it, really, for the most part.
In the bio, you said you had dozens of clients over the past decade. That was approximately meaning you acquired your first client by 10 years old. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which one. So I did, while I was in high school, since I had this skill set, I really tried to like utilize it as much as I could. And so I built websites way too cheap, but I built websites for people. And when you're like 10 or 11, like $500 for a website, it's like, oh, this is so much money. And so I did a lot of that. I can't even think of the first one at this point, because they all kind of blend together. But I remember I did a website. This wasn't my first one at all, but I did a website for like a modeling company. And so I just like had no idea what I was doing, because it wasn't just like make the site, like they have to edit it as well.
Yeah.
And so I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like trying to figure it out. Like I threw myself in these situations where I had no out. There was like, you gotta figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. Question is, how'd you acquire the clients? Because 10 years old, if you're doing door knocking, no one's gonna take you serious, right?
It was a lot of like my parents or my friends or my friends' parents saw me do something. They're like, oh, that's cool. Do you make websites? And I'm like, sure, I can figure it out. And then it leads to like that person's like, oh, here. So most of my business actually up to this point has been referrals.
Gotcha. And going back to that, how you said you put yourself in these situations where your back was against the wall, how do you think that benefited you in a way up to today?
I mean, if you, there's no alternative then.
Right.
Like the alternative is, you fail, but it's one thing to like try something for yourself, build a business, throw an event, something like that, and then fail, where it's yours. But when you're like someone's paying you to do something, you're like, oh, okay, like I can't fail, because that's just, then what? And so, I mean, at that point, it was never intentional. It was never I want to build a business. Like I just loved learning about this stuff. And so I was really intrigued by doing that, but then I also got really bored of it. And so I stopped learning to code. And the reason I started around 6, but then for a lot of years I just stopped doing it because I got distracted. I got into doing events and managing musicians and things like that, which I didn't even touch on because that was like 3 years in like middle school. I was like, cool, let's throw events.
Dude, that's insane, man. By middle school?
I was 13, and I was trying to throw an outdoor music event in Penticton. So I grew up in Kelowna, and Penticton's like 45 minutes south. It's kind of like a Surrey to Vancouver sort of idea.
Yeah.
And so, because that summer I spent in the city with my dad a lot, because he was working down there. And so I was like, well, let's throw an event here. I was always really intrigued by music, but I knew I had zero musical abilities, like less than zero.
Okay.
And so I'm like, well, that's not my way in. So I was really got intrigued in doing events, and then I started like contacting all these musicians. I had a lease agreement with the city, I had all these sort of things. The event went in front of city council. They had to approve it, and all these sorts of things. And it was super crazy. And then it ended up falling through because at that point I wasn't smart enough to focus on getting sponsorships to pay for things, so I just pulled out. But all these musicians I met, none of them were booking shows. I'm like, well, I can book a show for you. And so I was like, cool, yeah, go for it. I mean, what's their downside? You know, when you're sending an email, no one knows your age.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, but time out.
Dude, that's
Okay.
a lot of stuff, man. You're a born bred hustler.
Okay, you're 6 years old.
Yeah.
And when you're doing this outdoor event.
No, not 6.
Middle
school,
13
13 years
yeah,
old. So
still.
approximately 2014, 4 years ago. Okay, so Instagram is
No,
not.
he's 21 now.
It was 2010.
Oh, 2010. Oh, sorry, I thought when I was 14. I was like,
Wait, what day?
I think, right?
2011. It was going to be called Summer Kickoff.
2011.
2011. Okay,
Okay.
my point being is Instagram was not the level it was then, right? So how do you find the musicians?
You Google. I don't think I knew Instagram was a thing. I might have, but
I
like.
probably just started around.
What do you Google, like singer and?
Yeah, I was just like musicians, Vancouver, Kelowna. Musicians, Kelowna, folk. And then you find one and you see they have a feature with another song, and then like I remember it's so funny. So like the one musician, his name's Dan Oy. He's a friend of mine. He's a super rad dude. And I still remember the time like when I was planning this event and I was like wanting to I was sorting this all out, and we were like talking on the phone. And he's like, it was so funny. He's like, man, you're gonna need an energy drink or something. And I'm like, oh, I've never had an energy drink at that point. And then he's like, dude, how old are you? That was like the first time he asked me, like, well, age is just a number. Trying to brush it. I was like, no, dude, how old are you? I'm like, well, I'm 13 or 14. I don't remember how old I was at that point.
Shit. And what did he say?
He was super blown away. He was super intrigued.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was blown away when you said you were 21, dude. I was like,
Right?
because reading this guy's bio, guys.
A lot of stuff.
Fortune 500 company.
What? Yeah. Speaking of that, what kind
Time
of
out. If you guys don't know what a Fortune 500 company is, Google that shit real quick.
Pepsi, Kellogg's, big companies like that, right?
Fortune 500.
Toyota, Honda, like big companies.
So I worked at a company and we did product development.
Right.
And one of the guys I worked for is absolutely like top-notch quality. Like the dude's like 34, in his early 30s at this point, and he's worked as a senior architect with companies like FedEx and Cisco and HP and BlackBerry, and really talented engineer, like incredibly talented, super smart dude, super funny dude. And so working with him was super cool, and he's worked with a company in the natural gas space in the US. They build pipelines. And so he brought us that client to the company. There was like 6 of us in this company at this point, and we just did crazy product development for them. Like they were redeveloping their entire product that helps them manage who owns the natural gas at which point, selling, messaging, contacts. Like there was like 300 screens in this app. Like if you think about Instagram, there's the feed, there's the DM, there's the list. There's not that many screens.
At max 10.
No, probably about 20 to 30.
30?
Yeah. Well, think about all the settings
Okay,
pages and stuff.
right.
This app was 300.
Damn.
Wow.
And how old were you at the time?
This was last summer, so this
Okay.
was like a year and a half, probably close to 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And so I was the only designer at the company, and so I would do some of the design work and I helped with a lot of the front end work as well. And like we took this app, upgraded the whole thing, and like almost cut the amount of code in half by just abstracting a lot of it. So we did a lot of insane technical things in a really short time period. It was a super cool experience to work on a product of that scale, of that size, and like with such incredibly talented people as well.
What do your parents think about everything you've done?
I asked them this a
achieved?
lot.
Yeah.
I remember I always had this bizarre goal when I was young to be a millionaire by 21. We're not going to accomplish that.
A lot of kids have that though, randomly at 21, 23.
And it was always like, I want the cash. And I'm like, you know what, I don't need the cash, I need the net worth. Like, I don't need to liquidate it, like that sort of thing. And then the more and more it came closer, it wasn't that I tried to push the goal away, but it was like, I have more patience now. I don't need it by then. The point isn't by then. Maybe that's an L for myself. I don't know. We'll figure it out on Sunday how I'll feel.
Dude, we gotta rob a bank, bro. Let's
Let's go
tonight. all become millionaires.
But yeah.
And so for me, I always thought that was around like 14. I came up with that. I asked my mom, like, when was the first time you heard me say this? She was like, you were like 7. The first time you ever said. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like that blew me away. And so, you know, it was. I feel super, super grateful for my parents that they never pushed me into school. I was homeschooled for most of my middle school, and a lot of elementary too. So like grade 5 till grade 11, basically all homeschooled.
Wow.
That gave me a lot of time and a lot of like self-motivation. And I think that helped breed my entrepreneurialism as well.
Okay, go deeper in that though. For 2 reasons. One, why you switched from regular school to homeschool, and 2, why did that give you more freedom, and why did that give you more motivation?
So I think it just happened with where we were living. So we moved from one part of town to the other in Kelowna, and then we were going to a private school. Excuse me. And then my brother, I think it was decided that he would homeschool because he needed more like. I love my brother, but he's not like a school person. He never fit the mold of school. It never worked for him. And so they're like, well, we'll try homeschooling for him. And then I think I don't know. They're like, cool, you want to do this? I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
May as well. And I never really thought much of it. It was never I can't even remember that decision. Like, it just kind of happened. So like, we kind of just decided to do this homeschooling thing. And I don't remember the decision. We just kind of went there. And it was really cool. So the homeschooling I did initially, it was really different than just like fully homeschooling. I do like the majority of my courses at home on my own time. I have a remote teacher that I can talk to online, send emails. I send work usually every couple months or every month or something. It's like, this is the work that needs to get done. And then what I went to was also half at a school. So that specific homeschool, twice a week, a lot of kids met at a school and had 2 different courses. We did like English or science and socials, things like that. So it was like, I still felt like I went to school.
Yeah.
Twice a week I was somewhere.
Twice a week.
And the rest is like summer vacation because you don't do, come on, honestly, like you don't do work. And so that led me a lot of time to just learn my development, foster those skills, work on that stuff, as well as just do other things. Because I was always good at school, but I never like really cared for it.
Yeah.
I was like one of those annoyingly natural people that just didn't study and aced exams because I was good at learning the system.
Right. Ooh, interesting, man.
So, okay, so now my question is, because I'm confused right now, okay?
Same as I, man.
Personally, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about grade 4 me, right? Probably playing video games, right? So if I got pulled out of school to do homeschooling, I think my lifestyle would consist of waking up late, eating cereal, and playing video games.
So so it's funny because I never enjoyed video games.
No.
So that was.
I'm really surprised because he does
You're
coding.
a coder, man.
I have no idea how people make games, and that blows my mind. Like the concept of someone making a game, I was like, how do you do that? Like if you want to build like a large ass app, like I can help you with that. But like that, I'm like, I have no idea where you start with that. But I was just never intrigued by games. I felt like they were just a waste of time. Even at that point. But I was intrigued. It was so funny. There's a couple memories of literally waking up late, eating cereal, watching my brother play video games. Because that's when we hang out.
That would be my little brother, to be honest.
Yeah, facts.
I'm the youngest. We've all been there.
Literally, so like I was a little brother watching my big bro play his video games, and that or watching TV. And I remember so many times we would be like sitting there watching. I'd be watching him, and like we'd see the parents drive down the driveway. We'd be like, "Turn it off, get the books." We'd like pretend to be doing stuff. Our parents bought it, right? But they never bought it. They knew, because then it would come to the point where you have to hand in the schoolwork, and then it's not done, and then you try and like cheat out the back, and that never works.
It shows.
It obviously
Wow.
shows.
Yeah.
Okay, but so what drove your entrepreneurship then, dude?
I don't know. Like honestly, I had a great job. Like there's nothing that really, it wasn't my only out. It was just, it kind of happened naturally. So let's go through it. So I did a bit of coding when I was younger. I was really intrigued. Kind of got bored of it for a while. Got into like events and doing all these different things. And I had so many plans in that, and then they all failed. And I was like, well, I'm a little bit over this. And I got back into coding. So I kind of fell back into it, and that's when I started kind of contracting. I had people like, hey, I need a website. I'm like, cool, I'm your guy. I'd totally undercharge them. And then I'd build a website, and that would lead to another person, and then another person, and kind of go through that. And then at one point, I can't remember how we connected, but I met my first business partner. And it wasn't really development, but we created decks of playing cards that were discounts for local restaurants. This was 2013. 2014. The company was Taste Locally. So we literally printed the coupon books, but they were like playing cards, but like localized. So like had the business logo on it and like all these sorts of things. And so I did all that design work. I know how to really design, so you kind of figure it out. How do you print a deck of cards? It's actually a lot harder than you think.
God,
That's interesting.
I don't know.
And then you made a coupon out of it, kind of like / business card.
Yeah, so the purpose was that it's coupons. It's a discount to local businesses.
Right, and was that essentially how, like, that's all you were doing there?
No, so I mean, originally that was the whole purpose of like what I was doing, and then
Right.
as we went on, I always did more, so it always turned into more. My business partner was really good at sales, and so we kind of like divvied up the tasks, and I did all the development and product design, and like I did most of the incorporation and stuff like that. And then as we kind of went through, like, it helped us raise money and all these sort of things, and then at that point, it's like it shifted from me just being hired to build something to like we're now fully like business partners. We're doing this all together, and then that failed.
How long did you have the ball running for?
A year and a half, 2 years. Basically, we had a deck of cards in, I think we launched November 20 or October 2013. Yeah. And then we had that deck, and it worked decently well, not like enough for my business partner to live it. Like I was living at home, I didn't need the money, right? So we did a lot of retail at that point. But then we're like, cool, there has to be a better way to make more money. So we're like, school fundraisers. This is the idea. I have a baby face. Let's walk in there.
Right.
Let's go to every single parent-teacher count. Their parent-teacher count, like parents were the ones making these decisions of what the students fundraise. So as a kid, walking into a room of parents where I'm the age of their kids, it's pretty good to be like, hey, I'm trying to do this. And I hated playing that card, but I played it all the time.
Did it work?
It did, yeah. So we tested a couple, like 3, 4, 5 schools in Kelowna, and we launched a deck in Victoria. This is great. You know, going back to the story reminded me of strategies that I can use now. Anyway, so smart joke when he was younger. Anyways, so we launched Victoria. Basically, we found a food blogger in Victoria that reached out to us when we launched in Kelowna, like, what you guys are doing is super cool. So we worked with them. They gave us literally a long list of all the restaurants in Victoria.
Wow.
And they were like, with personalized notes of this person's progressive, this person's pretty reserved, all of this.
Wow.
And so we could just, my business partner like killed sales in absolutely, like it blows my mind. So imagine going to a new city you've never been to, trying to sign up and managing to sign up 44 businesses in 30 days.
You signed up 44?
In 30 days, walking in cold.
Come on. What is this, like $1,000 a pop?
No, it was. They didn't cost them at all.
Was it like commission or?
Essentially, they bought decks. We put them. They authorized us to put them in the deck, get them printed. Then we'd sell them. They'd sell them. They get a portion. We get a portion.
Yeah,
Like affiliate
but
kind of
like,
thing.
but like how much is he selling the cards to the business for, approximately?
Nothing. So the business offered up the discounts.
Yeah.
And so that was still a lot to try and get them to offer up. So he's super talented dude when it comes to sales. And so like in that, so 3 months, this was 2014. So in 3 month time period when I was like not at all in school, right, fully focused, we rebranded, redesigned all the cards, signed up 44 businesses, I think, raised money, incorporated, and had the decks printed, ready to go with 4 weeks of printing time and 2 weeks to like proof everything in 3 months.
Damn, that's insane.
That was like, I feel like I worked harder then than I am now. Like that, in looking back, I'm like, damn, we got a lot done in a short period of time.
Right.
And then we were ready to go. We had actually confirmed fundraisers for about 18 schools in Kelowna. We presented every school in Kelowna, every school in Victoria, or almost every school in Victoria. 18 confirmed fundraisers in Kelowna because we had brand equity in this marketplace already. In Victoria, we had, I think, 11 confirmed. Because that was our first year there, and so we're trying to still push through. Confirmed, ready to go for us to launch and present the fundraisers, and then 2014, all the schools went on strike in BC.
Oh yeah, that's when they went on strike.
Yeah, in Ontario too, same time.
And so we went from every yes to a no because everything turned to we lost 2 or 3 weeks of school time to like literally everybody's like, nope, we don't have time to try anything new. We're gonna go with what works.
Right.
And so we went all our eggs in one basket, nothing on retail. We were literally dead in the water and raised just enough money to get us to revenue, not enough to like float us if we had to. So
Damn.
we were done.
Yeah, man.
Dang,
That's crazy.
bro.
And was that shoot? And what was the name of that business?
Taste locally.
Taste Locally.
Yeah. I mean, if you Googled it, it says we got acquired, but we didn't. My business partner and I had that falling apart.
How old is your business partner?
At that point, I was 16 or 17. I think he was 26 or 27.
Oh, okay, so he's a lot older.
Yeah.
How did you found him on?
I honestly don't remember. I literally think Kijiji or something like that, which now in retrospect seems super creepy.
Yeah, would you search business partner?
I was no, so
Like LinkedIn or something, right?
right?
Yeah.
No, I think originally it was actually his idea, and he was looking probably at like listings for need a developer or something like that.
Right.
And so it was like, oh, let's chat or something like.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how it went through. I was like, maybe I'll find another contract.
Yeah, wow.
Interesting, man.
Bro, Kijiji couldn't die, man.
I know.
That just threw back memories. When you say Kijiji, bro, like you just got that
Right.
memory lane. Like,
It's
wow.
more like just Craigslist now, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Even Craigslist, bro, that's just dying too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Facebook and Let Go and
See, Craigslist blows my mind. They don't have many staff. They have a product that everybody uses. Like you consider Facebook, like marketplace a Craigslist,
yeah.
right? It's the same as like it's a Google,
Right.
but they make so much money. It blows my mind.
Well, how does Craigslist monetize?
Yeah, how do they make the money?
Ads,
Sponsored ads?
yeah, they make a lot of money, and they have like the product looks like shit.
It does.
Can I swear here?
Yeah, you can swear.
Cool. Like
Yeah, the website
yeah.
does look like ass, bro.
I know.
And like
Do
back
they even have
ads and stuff, like come on.
Do they even have an app?
no, and it's really remarkable that company's still
Doesn't have an app.
kicking it how they're doing it.
Alright.
Like they're still kind of killing it.
But yeah, they are. But like that's the thing. Like after you use Kijiji, Craigslist looks like a 2005 app or something.
But
you know?
it's mainly for people, like, yeah, people sell stuff in there, but I don't think it's that common. I think it's more for businesses to post ads. So like if you're selling a house, if you're buying a house, whatever, right?
But it's more popular in BC than it is in Ontario.
Is it really?
Yeah, a lot of people don't use Craigslist because a
But
lot of
Craigslist's
stories
really
happen.
popular in the States.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right, so like here we have Kijiji, we have like, I mean in Kelowna you have Castanet, I don't know if Daily Hive is anything in comparison, kind of like classifieds listings.
Mm-hmm.
But like in Kelowna, it's castanet.net, that's what people go to.
What's it? Castanet?
Castanet.net, and if you think that Craigslist looks like ass, I mean, it really doesn't look good. The redesign made it look worse, but everyone uses it.
Wow.
Because Kelowna's a really interesting marketplace, and I love that city, but it's a really unique sort of like business. People move there to have a work-life balance. They don't move there to grind, right?
Just more
Because
like
like,
laid back.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's paradise on earth. Like wineries upon wineries on a lake. You have like ski resorts that are 40 minutes away. Like it is paradise. It is perfect, but people don't want to grind as hard yet. It's just starting to shift. There's a lot of tech there, but it's
It's more
starting
for
to
people to
shift.
just relax and go on vacation.
It's a work-life balance, right?
Kind
So
of
you-
like Whistler.
even more beautiful.
Better.
Like literally, probably I think 50 plus wineries, maybe not quite that many, but a lot of wineries. along
I
the
saw
whole lake.
like a commercial or something about
Yeah.
that. It was like 40 plus wineries.
40 plus wineries. You have like warm temperatures in the summertime. You have a lake, and you're driving distance to like 3 different ski resorts in 40 minutes.
Well, what books have you read so far? And what
I don't
was
read
your?
them.
You don't read?
No,
Okay.
I like the concept of reading, and I buy books to have them in the library for when I'm 50 years old and I can sit in the library and drink scotch, but I don't really read, and it's probably one of my biggest faults. Audiobooks is mostly what I do.
Okay.
Um,
Same concept
same
though.
thing.
Same concept, but it's still hard sometimes to digest in
Yeah,
audiobooks.
yeah. Certain audiobooks.
Yeah. So like some recent ones that I really love, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Okay.
That is, I don't know if you've heard that or read
I've-
that.
yeah,
I
I've heard of
the
it,
other day.
but-
Yeah.
You
I've
should
read it.
I'd recommend the audiobook because that dude is fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like the way the delivery is phenomenal. The Lean Startup, that one is phenomenal, especially if you're interested in building a product or any kind of business. The whole foundation is don't waste any time on shit that doesn't matter right now.
Okay.
So you might be tempted to, in like product development, which is a lot of what I do. I feel like you said product marketing. I don't do any marketing at all.
No.
I do mostly product development. I take
Okay.
ideas from the idea stage to develop, to like wireframing, to development, to design, to testing, to releasing. Kind of that full cycle. I have concepts and ideas of marketing. I'm intrigued by it, but I never brand myself as a marketer.
Yeah, talk to us about it, like a full kind of like step-by-step process of how it works, how you bring an idea to life, like a product.
Yeah, so the first thing I do is, my background is kind of UI design and development, because when I started, I didn't know there was just people that did this portion. Because the world of development, like building products, like digital products, is huge. And the more you go into, companies like Facebook have people specialized to evangelize special types of software you can use to build your products. right? You can get very specialized. You can be a UX designer. You can be, which is like user experience. You can be a UI designer, which is user interface, like visual aspects of it. You can be an audio designer. Like Facebook has a whole audio design team. Where their entire focus is how does it sound when you click something in the app. Like that's all they do. They design. It's crazy because the amount that. So like right now, Facebook has about 70 different versions of their menu on the bottom menu in the app released. Different icons, different colors, 4 pixels of different height. How does that interact? How does that affect how you use the app? So a lot of that is user experience.
Wow.
There's a lot of testing that goes on with like how can we keep people in here longer or drive them to whatever we're trying to drive them to. And so what I do is I'm pretty specialized in design. I can make something look good. I can make something usable, and because there's a difference between those two. Craigslist is super usable. I think it looks horrible, but it's a brilliant product because a lot of people use it. When you look at things like Facebook, I think it could look prettier than it does, but it's also really hard to build a product that's used in every region of the world in all these different languages and all these different cultural aspects. So the product's actually phenomenally designed. How much time do you spend on the feed? And you keep scrolling. But there's, like when I say Facebook, I mean the app, Facebook, Instagram, they're a whole realm of products.
Wow.
And the development is there's back end, there's like the underlying technologies, there's, the infrastructure where the data is stored, what happens to it, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence, and there's the front end, what you interact with visually. And then there's testing kind of along that world, like when you build something, does it work? Do users enjoy it? It kind of goes back to UX. It's not really like this, and this. It's kind of like this the whole time.
Gotcha.
And
then
then
have like a team?
Yeah, and so on larger projects, you have specialized people on each spot. And you don't find many people, I discovered, that can do all of it or can do all of it well. And so I feel like I'm specialized where I can do most of it really well at like an 80 to 90% sort of realm, but I love business too much to just go full into that. Like I've had job offers at $160K a year, but I'm like, I don't want that. Like I could get that. Like my friend got a starting salary working remotely, works when he wants from his desk, at home, can go on vacation, makes ridiculous cash, like $160 US.
Wow.
A year.
A year.
Yeah.
Starting salary.
Wow.
And plus equity. And he's just a developer. So if you take that, I'm not quite as talented as he is in development. So like if you go like this and then you stack on design, right? He doesn't do any design. So like I could easily get a job in that pay range. For me, that checked the box hypothetically on financial success. Like people work their entire lives to get to that level. Now I'm 19, I have this opportunity, I don't need it. I can basically check that it could happen. That's my plan B. Like worst case scenario, I'll go work for somebody. And then that led me to like, there's gotta be more than trying to just make money.
Because if you just focus on that product, the money will just come later on. And it'll be way more than you imagine.
Yeah, to a certain extent. And so what that did for me is that led to MedConnect really. But like, so for product, let's go back to that because you asked about that.
Right.
For somebody here that's watching that doesn't have the skill set, what's the first thing you do is you don't write any code, you don't hire anybody. You figure out, is what you're trying to build solving a real problem? That's the first question. Too many people build products and build solutions and find a problem to solve it instead of the other way around. You have to be more empathetic and figure out, cool, I want to help these people. Let's see what they're doing, why are they doing it like that, and then how can I make them better? What can I do for them that makes them more efficient? That's a lot of conversation. So that's primarily user experience. That sort of concept of like validating an idea. Can you get somebody to pay you without writing any code? You can. On many scales, you can sell products before you have the product. I did that with a clothing company once. We sold $1,000 worth of sweaters, and I'm like, cool. I Googled, this is so great. I had a friend who is an artist, super talented, and I heard too many people say, I'd buy that if it was on a t-shirt. I'd buy it if it was on a sweater. My heart broke, because he's like, oh, that'd be cool. And I'm like, no, take their money, we'll figure it out. And so we basically, I Googled Photoshop sweater PSD mock-up, downloaded it, I'm like, cool, that sweater looks fine, put his artwork on there. We sold $1,000 worth of sweaters. I'm like, great, let's find a sweater that looks like that. And screen print it and figure it out. So that was a hectic time period too. But like, we gave ourselves 6 weeks, literally found this sweater that was in the photo that was like a long, 4 nights of Googling, like, who supplies sweaters? Where do you start with that?
Right.
And then ship them. And so I'm involved in a project right now. What they do is they are developing a product that essentially helps a city manage their assets and their infrastructure. So the city of Penticton has probably, I think, between 50 and 100,000 people. So it's not a big city at all. And they have $1 billion worth of assets. If you think about electricity, water wells and pipes in the like all of that. So how do they manage when they have to replace what? Because it's more expensive to wait till a pipe bursts to replace it.
Yeah.
So how can they effectively do that? What's the current life or status of these assets? So they have all this data, they have no way to visualize it. And so what I'm working with, the one guy who's leading the project, he worked as a civic engineer for a lot of years. He's worked with all these cities. He validated this concept.
Nice.
He's gotten 6 cities, more than that now, 7 or 8, to write large ass checks to him for this project or this product that doesn't even exist. So we took his concept.
That's nuts.
He created a PDF. Like at this point, I'd say probably close to a little under $200,000.
Shit.
Wow.
Shit, dude. That's
Because
crazy.
this is a real pain point for them.
Right.
So now you've validated this concept.
And you're
It's a
solving
real solution, dude.
you're solving a real problem.
You're solving a real problem.
Right.
And the way you prove that is it's one thing to get somebody to say, yeah, I'd buy that. But it's another thing to say, give me your money. Even if you're bluffing, right? You're like, cool, is this a real problem? That's what I do. Because as soon as you say, cool, will you write me a check or send me an e-transfer? Then they're going to say, oh, but what about X, Y, or Z? And that's what you want. You want them to be in that purchasing decision mindset to then really objectively look at your product and give you the truth. Because if you're like, give me your money, well, actually, it's because of this, I don't want to give it to you yet. And that's what you need to solve. But on the other hand...
And they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
They're giving you the problem, that extra stuff.
Exactly, and that's what you need to fix. Because the other part of that is it's it's what Henry Ford said, and Jeff Bezos said a lot too, is Henry Ford said if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. It's not your customer's job to build the product or to innovate or tell you what to build. So Jeff Bezos goes really well into this. He talks about the business's job to listen to the problem and then to innovate. It's not the customer. They're not supposed to tell you what to build. You need to listen to their problem and figure out what the root of that is. Toyota has a really good concept that they started in their manufacturing. It's called the 5 levels of why. All right, so the plant stops because something broke down. Why? What broke down? Cool. Why? Then you figure out, oh, there was a mismanagement problem. We have a problem in management. Or we have a problem with this portion because we didn't preventively fix it, or whatever it is. The deeper you go into why is this a problem for you? Because somebody might say,
This is real stuff,
man, somebody could say, I'm trying to think of an example. So we'll take MedConnect. Somebody could say, I wish I could see my patient's data like this. And I'd be like, why? We can build this.
Yeah.
Buildings, literally anything you can imagine we can build, period. That's what I tell clients. Is this possible? Yes. The talent exists. The world, it can be done. Now the question becomes, should we? And so why do you want that? Oh, because you want to figure out as deep as you can go to figure out what is the core of the problem. Because if you're just band-aiding current solutions, you're not really innovating.
Right.
You can band-aid stuff, and you can there's a lot in prototyping too. I tell some people when they want to build a product, I'm like, don't build the product yet. There's enough. You can put things together to test and get people to pay for it to see if it's worthwhile, right? Maybe you want to build. Can't think of a good example right now, but whatever it is, maybe you want to build a unique community or something. You don't need to build software to enable the website or whatever to have that. You could also just use Facebook groups. That's a perfect way, or a Slack group.
Right.
It's a perfect way to prototype that idea, right? Because you can take that and see if people are going to pay for it. And you can always customize and develop later on. So the idea of what the Lean Startup talks about is instead of going out, building all the software, and then realizing people don't want to use it how you envisioned, you basically figure out what's the smallest version of this that we can test. We need a very definitive, does this work, yes or no? Let's launch that. Does it work, yes or no? And the really real key there is when you launch, you have to define success and failure. If you launch it to see what happens, you'll be successful in seeing what happens. So if you have a very clear goal of this is what success looks like in your business, in your launch, in your product. I mean, this can mean anything. Like in the gym, if you know what success looks like,
GPS.
right? If you know like this is what I want, it's so much easier when this is what you're striving for instead of I'm just going to go to the gym to see what happens in the next 6 months. You're not going to go to the gym. How do you measure you're on track?
Right.
Unless it's like it's funny because that's what I'm doing in the gym anyways. But you need to set a goal. There we go. And so you build that, and then you figure out, cool, what's the next thing we're going to build? What's the next test? So Facebook, as I mentioned earlier, 70 different menus on their nav bar in the Facebook app on mobile, on iOS, is because they're always testing how can we keep you in longer. So basically, this is the concept of A/B testing. So say you have 1,000 users, 500 will see version A, 500 will see version B. What converts better? So if you get into, you guys are doing marketing, so you've heard about this probably in landing pages.
Yeah.
So the idea of A/B testing.
Yeah.
And so that can literally be the color, the font size, and there's so much to the actual going into a landing page that like, I don't know if you guys got deep into that, but like I spent so much time researching that because we launched a product that this company, so I led the design of this product and helped them like create their strategy for launch. This was an in vitro fertilization product that takes, I can't remember, this was like 2 years ago now. I think like 1/16 the cost or something. So instead of no, not quite that low, but instead of like 30 or 40,000 for one attempt, you spend like 5,000 or 10,000 or something. So like almost like more than half cheaper.
Right.
The success rate's a little lower, but if it's like 8% lower and it's more than half the price, why wouldn't you try it? And so like there's all these different, they built this proprietary technology essentially, and we helped them bring it to market. So what we did, and this is the other thing, so this is a perfect example. They wanted to build clinic management software to launch all these clinics. And we're like, you don't need that yet. There's no proof you need that. Like, you might, best case scenario. What you need to know right now is, can you sell this? If we all agree that at a certain level, all you need to do to make money is provide value, it's not that complicated. Whether you're shoveling someone's driveway or building an app that makes people's lives better so they pay you for it, if it's not that complicated, however you want to do it, then you could also utilize that skill set to actually not just solve a problem, but actually like a pathetic problem in a sense, but like a real problem, like poverty, like diseases, like access to healthcare, which is a great segue to MedConnect. But it's, so that's really what drove me, is like having this opportunity, or the idea of this opportunity on the table that I could go get a job with this ridiculous amount of money at such a young age, that led me to, great, I can make money, that's easy enough. Now I want to actually do something that helps people. Because otherwise, what's the point? And like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not here, like, I want to help people, but I also want to build a big ass business and make a lot of money. Right? But I think I can do that treating people fairly, paying people fairly, and also not taking advantage of the environment.
Yeah. So talk about Medicare. Like what is it? You say you guys are based in Vancouver. Like
MedConnect?
Yeah. Try MedConnect.
Yeah. So MedConnect, we're kind of based in Vancouver, kind of based in Victoria. We don't really have an office. It's wherever my laptop is or my business partner is at this point. So I was introduced to my business partner. So let's back up a little bit. My mom is spent a lot of years now in healthcare. She's worked as a medical office assistant in naturopathic clinics and multidisciplinary clinics, and now a medical office. And so one of the fellows she was working for, his name's David Harrison. He's not my business partner. He said to her, "Do you know anyone that builds apps? I need an app built." And he listed a whole bunch of words that anyone else listening would be like, "Wow, he's smart." And anyone technical listening is like, he has no idea what he's talking about. There's a lot of buzzwords that mean nothing. And so I'm like, I'm not really looking for any projects, but whatever. I'll sit down. I'll take the meeting. And David, it wasn't actually like that. I wasn't that dramatic about it, but I did think you had no idea what you were talking about. And anyway, so we sat down and he started telling me about what's happening in BC and what his idea is. And well, he told me his idea and what he wants to build. I'm like, why? Right? I asked that question, like, why is this important? And he told me the backstory of where the state of healthcare in BC right now, which is frightening. In BC, they say there's about 9,000 doctors, but that number includes specialists and general practitioners. So basically, it includes people that are, specific surgeons as well as so a GP is like your family doctor or a walk-in doctor. So these are the primary access to healthcare. Before you can go see a surgeon, you need to go see a GP who refers you to a surgeon.
Yeah.
And so if right away you're splitting the 9,000 in half, like let's back up. The population of BC is like 8.4 million. So you have 4,500 doctors. That's not a whole lot. So across Canada, BC's on par with the federal rate of lack of having a family physician, so that's about 15% in BC, 14.9. And so now you have 4,500 doctors, you have 15% of the population already without access to a family doctor, and that's already a bad enough scenario, right? Now of those 4,500, 500 don't bill MSP. And so MSP is the provincial, I don't know what it stands for, medical service
plan, yeah.
Yeah, so that's essentially our healthcare within BC. So 500 don't bill them, which means they're private, they're not part of the public system. And so now you have 4,000 doctors. And there's a couple hundred that only bill under 100K a year, which is less than 80 days a year, like 83 days-ish that they work. So that's not a lot. And then you look at this number, and then you realize that 40% of doctors in BC are within 5 years of retiring. And now you're like, holy shit, what? Right? So 40% are about to retire, there's not enough already, now what are you going to do? So that's going to increase all this push onto the hospitals. So like, there's people that don't have a family doctor, or if they need to go see a doctor, their family doctor's booking 3 weeks in advance, so they have to go to a walk-in clinic and wait 4 hours, 3 hours, maybe 20 minutes, rarely. I remember reading a story on that where people go to the hospital to refill their medications. Wow. And so now we're talking about BC in 2018. That's absurd. Like when you actually start to digest that, when there's people that can't access healthcare in BC because they can't take this, it's not practical for a lot of people to take a day off work to go to the doctor to get their prescription renewed. That's not practical. And then there's other things that you start to find out when you go into this rabbit hole of healthcare there's a lot of legacy systems that aren't integrated. So like there's often times where I'm not entirely sure of the specifics of it, but there's often times where if you actually go to the hospital, they don't know what medications you're on because it's not integrated in the province. So it is with some people in some circumstances, like it's a really like. So we talk about a lot of advanced tech, like off camera, and now going into this industry where people fax. That is a primary method of transporting documents between these clinics, is faxing them.
Faxing, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's super archaic. So that's already frightening to go into. You're like, man, what is happening? Because this is all our private, personal information. And so that creates this perfect storm. So now I'm like, great, what can we do? For me, we're not at a point where I don't even have the technical capabilities to build anything to replace a doctor. And nobody would want that. What we're trying to do is, how can we take the doctors that are there and just make every appointment more efficient? What if we take like the first 30% out of the appointment and do it beforehand? Now a lot of people are going to be listening, but whoa, but my appointment's already too short. Here's the truth though, you don't want to spend an hour in the doctor's office. Nobody wants to spend more time there. You feel like you can't express how you're feeling. That's why you say it's short, you feel rushed. And so everything we're doing is to enable you to express and more in depth about how you're feeling prior to your appointment. So let's take the example headache. If you have a headache and it's been there for a couple of days, you're like, hey, maybe I should call the clinic. And you'll call them, you say, hey, can I get an appointment? They say, great, why? You say, I have a headache. They say, great, we'll see you in a week, or whatever the situation is. And now for that doctor, he gets a report that day and he sees, cool, you have a headache. And that can literally be anything from you didn't drink enough water, you drank too much, or you have cancer. If you go on WebMD, it's probably cancer. And so it's this black box that's infinite scale. They might ask you one or two questions, but then you go into the office, the nurse comes in, how are you feeling? They ask you, how long have you had this? Where in your head is it? And you point to all these sort of questions. And then the doctor comes in, asks you the exact same questions again, and then leaves, and then comes in and says, well, you probably have this, here you go, leave. Right? That's not great. Nobody enjoys that. So what if we created a model where you went on your phone or their website and you said, hey, I'm feeling sick. You go, oh, I'm really sorry, that sucks. Where in your head, like, how do you feel? Like, well, I have a headache. All right, you know, where in your head is it? Can you point to it? Point on this image, you know, click here, tap here, like to express how you're feeling. How long have you felt this way? Did you recently stop drinking? Did you recently stop smoking? Like, what is your medical history? Like, let's dive into that. And if you've already asked your medical history, you don't have to do it again. But that whole idea, and then we say, bam, well, here you go, we'll book you an appointment. And so, depending on how we integrate in the clinic, because it's a very hard to integrate into these clinics, is either it'll say the clinic's going to call you to book an appointment with you, or you can even do this like in the waiting room beforehand too. Or the third option is it'll actually book an appointment for you based on how it's integrated into their clinic. And then when the doctor, before his appointment, he looks at it, or even one step before that, the MOA staff, when they see the incoming appointment request, they can see, oh, this is actually super important. You know, this person recently had a surgery, so this person should be highlighted at the top of the list, because if he comes in 2 days after a surgery, it might be something really urgent, right? And they can look, okay, let's look into that. So it helps them triage their priority of patients, and maybe somewhere in what you said suicide, that would be highlighted, because that's a very urgent thing.
Yeah.
So it's not for like emergency scenarios, and we disclaimer, like we have a disclaimer too that's like, if you have chest pains or you can't breathe, call 911. Like, this isn't for that. This is, maybe you need to refill your prescription. Instead of waiting there for a long time, you go online, need to refill. I've had this before, here you go, submit. You'll have a phone call with your doctor, bam. You get the new prescription emailed to you, whatever it is. So everything we're trying to do is enabling physicians right now to be that much more efficient and effective for every single appointment. So if we can cut 30% of the appointment time down on every appointment in a day, they can see more patients.
Yeah.
And at a deeper level of care. So like, we don't need to sacrifice efficiency for quality. That's why it says timely, efficient, and effective.
Yeah.
High quality, because we really care that every person, whatever you're going to the doctor for, is really important to you. Nobody just is like, yo, I should go to the doctor every week or whatever. Right. You know, nobody does that. And like, whether you think you have cancer because you went and searched Google, or you know, whatever, you have a mole, or whatever it is, you're nervous. Nobody enjoys it. You might enjoy, there's odd scenarios where maybe you do enjoy it, but usually it's not, you're not wanting to go. So if we can make you more comfortable, meet you at a point where you're more comfortable in a discreet way, you don't have to express everything to the doctor face to face, and he can get a deeper sense of why you're there, and then he can ask you more intent follow-up questions. Why wouldn't you use that? Why wouldn't you?
Man, that's a real problem to be solved.
A lot of innovation in healthcare, and a lot of it is specific surgeries or treatments for these very specific cases, which is super important that there's a lot of focus on that. There isn't much for when you or I need to go to the doctor. The biggest innovation has been the arbitrary number of wait times in a walk-in clinic. The walk-in clinic says, I think it's about an hour wait, and they update the wait time. To my understanding, that's how this one product specifically works, which is phenomenal for a lot of people, because then they can know, cool, I've an hour of my lunchtime, maybe I can go and wait, because it's 40 minutes. Maybe that'll work out, who knows? So that's super beneficial for people, but it's like, how can we bring it a step further? Yeah. How can we go to that next level? And so we're building all that technology in-house. We're building the why do we ask you? That whole like chatbot technology.
We're coming towards the end of our podcast, and at each of our podcasts we have 2 segments. Josh is gonna run them down.
First segment, I can just say that's a great podcast, man. Like, this whole podcast, the amount of value that you're giving to us and our viewers, and how much we're getting educated on this solution, that's insane. And to you as a person, for all you've achieved, man, since 6 years old, that's insane. Yeah, ending it off with what Umar said, 2 segments. First one, you're gonna look at the camera, kind of like what Gary did to call you out. You're gonna call somebody out on the show, somebody just like you, or somebody you might know that has a passion and a story.
Do they have to be in Vancouver? Or want to live in Vancouver? Does that count?
Somebody that can meet us, I guess.
Yes,
Vancouver.
someone like greater Vancouver area.
If they can meet us here, it can be great.
Cool.
And then the second segment is you're gonna look at the camera and give a 60-second hustle of something you want to get off your chest that can inspire somebody else watching, or something that you just feel that will be beneficial in terms of like value to somebody else.
So I'm gonna shout out or call out Jordan Ambrosio. He's a super rad dude. Lives in Kelowna, comes to Vancouver a decent amount. He's the marketing manager of a hip hop crew in Kelowna called Rare Breed. They're making moves down in LA. They're going crazy. I feel like it's gonna be maybe a different kind of vibe. Nice. Well, then me for sure, because it's not healthcare.
Right.
And a rant, man. I feel like there's so many things I could talk about. I think the most applicable one is learn like what I did is I learned a skill set, which is design and development, which created a great plan B for me. But I'd say, you know, just focus on whatever your passion is. Literally just go all into what you want to do, because you can make money doing anything. As long as you can provide value to people, the real focus is just making money isn't hard. And if you're good at making money, be ethical with it, because you can drop ship something that's great and that's super cool. But the truth is, if you know what's greater, like what is the next thing, what's the next level, and maybe for like Jeremy, just want to make money, that's cool, do that too, because there's always enough time. At some point you'll probably run into it if you surround yourself with the right people. And yeah, man, like woman, just love people. We had a great conversation beforehand about this, but literally just love on people, don't judge people, work hard, help people, just build people up, encouragement. Love on people, help people, work hard, just follow your passions.
We appreciate you so much, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it,
podcast.
we learned a lot today, man. It
Yeah.
was so much fun. Until next time.
Until next time, guys. Peace.
Yeah, here we come.
Some kind of
Here we come. Here we come. Here we come.